The best AI companies won't use LLMs. Here's why most founders are building the wrong thing. Everyone's chasing ChatGPT wrappers while the real money is buried inside the boring businesses making $100 million a year. Cabinet factories, paint mixers, ball bearing manufacturers, they're all sitting on decades of proprietary data, proprietary SOPs, chemical formulas, machine configurations, and nobody's talking about them because software engineers and cattle ranchers don't hang out at the same bars. Now, the kids at Stanford and MIT are building for space and quantum computing while ignoring AI for actual industries. There's a class divide, keeping founders away from the unglamorous problems that print money. Meanwhile, these factory owners would love to partner. You just have to show up, tour the facility, and actually talk to one of the people doing the work. So here's the play. Find a lower middle market company with unglamorous IP. Tour their factory. Don't waste time with the sales team. Talk to the guy making $20 an hour who actually runs the machines and fixes the things when they break. Build one hyper-specific feature so niche you can describe it in 5 words or less. Then sell one enterprise license for $83,000 a month. That's $1 million ARR from literally 4 lines of code packaged as an executable. But before you even start, check 3 boxes. Do you have distribution on your cap table? Do you have defensible IP? Do you have an industry expert involved? If you can't check all 3, don't build it. So ask yourself, are you building a company or are you just building your ego? Because the real arbitrage isn't in the technology. It's in the relationships nobody else is making. Welcome to AI for Founders. I'm Ryan Estes. Now that's from Josh Firstos, executive founder, CEO advisor, and the guy who launched 4 companies last year by finding moats where nobody was looking. This interview is for founders who want to escape the AI hype cycle, find distribution on their cap table, and build 0-to-1 products that actually sell. Now, are you ready to build differently? Head to aiforfounders.co for frameworks that 27,000 AI founders use to validate their next move. Every week, zero fluff, just builders building. And drop a review if this made you rethink your whole strategy. Now, this show runs on Kitcaster. Get booked on the world's top podcast with kitcaster.com. That's Kitcaster by Moburst.
AI alive tonight, shining stars, computer light. AI take the flight in the glow of neon bright.
Josh, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Ryan. It's great to see you.
Absolutely. So we're midway through January, which means most people are falling off their resolutions. How are you doing with your resolutions?
75% going well.
Yeah.
Mostly going well. Yeah.
Nice. What were some of your resolutions this year?
Oh, geez. It was actually like to reduce the number of active projects I have at a given time. And the other one was to reduce, I started vaping during COVID. So we're trying to fix that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Vapes are so delicious. What's the bridge? Zins?
Yeah. It's currently Zins. I don't have any right now, so, but we're getting there.
Yeah, it's incredible to see like the penetration of Zins. Like everybody I know is on Zins, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an underlying thing here though, where it's like even like how much nicotine has penetrated the market. In general, I think is probably an indicator for overall stress of like individuals. So I don't know. It's just interesting. Where it's like, previously you would think like people in any kind of industry, they'd go for like smoke breaks and these kind of things.
Yeah.
And now you have people inside of offices with nicotine in their system 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the way they're marketing, I mean, there's the whole, what is it called? Athletic nicotine. Have you heard of that company?
I have.
So there's a performance enhancing aspect to it. Also, to your point, stress, it's probably the best cope in the world. I mean, you can't smoke cigarettes, obviously, but man, were they delicious too.
Oh yeah. I hate how they smell. That's the thing. It's like, so like it's almost easier where like there's more of a shame associated over like, I smell like shit, my breath is bad and all these kind of things. And with the Zins, you're just like, I feel like this is turning into a Zin commercial, so I'm going to I don't advertise getting addicted to nicotine.
Yeah, please do not. But boy, it's awesome, man. And then you want to try and limit projects. Now, I think let's hang here for a minute because doing Research on you. You've got multiple exits. Last year, I saw that you created at least four different companies.
Yeah.
Before we got going here, you mentioned at least two others in stealth. So, and I think for a lot of founders, this becomes a tough point. I think early on, AI was kind of labeled as being this productivity kind of like cheat code where you're like, hey, maybe in the future we'll be able to work Tim Ferriss hours and
Mhm.
everything will get done. But really, what happened is we just 10x'd everything that we're doing on output. So,
Yeah.
talk about your propensity to take on new projects and kind of what challenges that presents.
Well, I think it's moving into a new chapter in my life overall where I think I've been for a long time, I wanted to be the founder CEO. And I think that like for some emotional reason, I desired the control and the creative, like, you know, well, control is the really word I'm looking for. And as I got it through it, I'm like, you know what? Like I got better and better and better at delegating. I figured out what I was really good at, which is like I'm really good at product, I'm really good at attracting talent, I'm really good at raising capital. And there are objectively better people out there that can grind sales every single day. There are better technical people out there. And so it's like if I can go, and the other thing is like I'm really remarkably good at 0 to 1. Like I've coached like over 120 companies on 0 to 1, mostly through Alchemist Accelerator, where I've been like an executive coach and sales coach for a lot of companies, but then outside of that as well. I'm like, okay, if this is my specialty, and honestly, GTM and 0 to 1 does not get paid well. So then how do I leverage that skill set to scale better throughout my life? And I'm like, okay, I do the 0 to 1s. I delegate down by like promoting myself upward to more manage the company, hire a CEO, these kind of things. And then I get to do what I love, and I get to give a lot of people really cool opportunities, and it's more scalable that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. 0 to 1 is the fun stuff. It's also the
Mhm.
brutally hard stuff. You must have frameworks in place, just from trial and error. So when you're thinking go to market from a zero company, like what's working right now?
What's working right now for me on the 0 to 1 companies?
Yeah.
It's funny. Like years ago, I was thinking about like, oh, how can a company be hyper specific, right? And I still do something like bigger than what I think of hyper specific right now. It's just more niched, like unbelievably niched.
Yeah.
And like that doesn't mean it's a small market necessarily. It's just on the actual problem being solved is hyper niched. And it gives us less surface area to really focus on. Um, so we can hyper focus on like the offer. And I kind of try to circle all products around an offer now, where it's like if I can't describe the product that we're doing in 5 words in each one text in a website, then it's a bad product.
Mm.
Like there only really needs to be one core feature for the entire product. Um, and then around the actual outbound methodology around that, um, I think the hack now is just having really good people who have really good networks. Because like as we move through the whole AI era, I think it's moving closer to the pre-compute era, where it's about trust and it's about individuals and it's about people's existing networks. So it's putting the right people in the right places that have the existing distribution to be able to get people excited about the products, and then going through awareness phases to the broader public beyond that. I'm really a big fan of partnership and like compensating people that bring in customers, even if they're employees, like just broadly doing commission structures for anyone who is interested or passionate about our products. Um, yeah, it's I don't
Talk
totally
about that a little
get,
bit.
but
You're
yeah.
talking about creating a team that has their own personal distribution. What would that look like?
Yeah, well, it's pretty simple, right? Like, pretend you're building. Like, I'll give you an example from like a robotics company that we're working on this year. So to do it, we found a really niche problem that we want to solve inside of these like lower middle market factories, and then we partnered specifically with the people that had this problem already. So we gave them early equity, and the equity is milestone towards sales goals. So one, they're getting a product that helps serve a purpose inside of their own businesses. But two, they're people, they are already inside of the like small networking circles of people who own these kind of factories,
Hmm.
you know? So organically, they're going to get excited because they're kind of co-building as design partners.
Yeah.
But also they are bringing in the early customers that drive the initial revenue, and they're getting compounded equity for that.
Cool. So
Yeah.
for that's interesting. So for design partners, you like to bring in people that are actually sharing equity stake. What kind of percentages are we talking about?
It depends. It's different per company.
Yeah.
And it also is different between what the advisory role necessarily is.
Yeah.
I'd say like I've done things as high as 15% overall, like
No
pretty
kidding.
significant amounts.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like my check boxes are, do we have distribution or can we find locked in distribution on the cap table? Do we have intellectual property as a moat? And then like, are we or can we include industry experts?
Mm,
Because like as I broaden out, I don't believe that like I know what I am an industry expert in, but I'm also very aware of what I'm not. And I don't like to get I like to walk into building products kind of as a stupid person, where
yeah.
I'm like, I have no assumptions. I generally know like what users want and what works, and I can kind of rein it all in. But I'm never gonna be the expert of knowing how, you know, what is this called? Cabinet factories function. Like
Sure.
I've never built a cabinet in my life. I've also never run a factory in my life.
Totally. Walking into the room, the stupid person is just basically the title of my biography.
Yeah, it works out well.
But I really like these parameters. So you said distribution on the cap table. Do you ever like look for there's kind of a category of influencer, which is like an influencer co-founder, where literally they're brought in specifically for distribution.
Mhm.
You see this in celebrity endorsement deals all the time.
Yeah, one of my partners, Musa, he runs, or rather, we run a company called Value Maps. He built up a company called Ginger relatively recently, which is they do brand deals for micro influencers. And the young woman that's running the company as CEO that got a giant stake in it, she's an influencer. And then
Yeah.
we've also looked at this for CPG products. Like we were looking at cigars a while back of like partnering, white labeling cigar brands with like influencers, stuff like that. I think it can all work, but I think that like your micro influencer CEO is probably the person that will actually run the company.
Mhm.
Whereas like doing like Kylie Jenner is not going to run your company. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it depends on kind of what your objectives are. And the higher up you go into the commercial brand deals, the more it trends towards consumer packaged goods and less it trends towards technology.
Yeah, 100%. Because the market, the TAM is way bigger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, oh, it's like also like Kevin Costner, or whoever is not going to be talking about Salesforce or like, you know what I mean, Grammarly or whatever it is. Like that's just not their audience.
Unless it's Samuel L. Jackson and then he can sell anything on planet Earth.
Yeah, exactly. If anyone listening can grab him for their SaaS app, then good luck.
Totally. That's very interesting. I've never heard that as kind of like a validation point is like, hey, we have to have distribution built in. If you're working on a tool that doesn't check that box, like where would you go to start looking for a partner for distribution?
Well, I wouldn't even start the project
When you even
until we
start
had
it.
that. Yeah, yeah. Well, like those are boxes that need to be checked to even start.
Okay. Go over those again. That was very interesting.
Industry expert, intellectual property,
Yeah.
distribution partner.
Totally. So as far as the IP goes, like, I mean, I think that's a big threat with AI too, is that like it seems like with software, the barrier of entry is getting lower and lower and lower. So what are some qualifications of basically IP that can't be protected?
I mean, tons of IP can't be like there's, millions of businesses out there that have internal data that like for niche industries that people aren't thinking about.
Yeah. Talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Pretend you wanted to make, I'm pulling this out of my butt. Pretend you wanted to make an artificial intelligence that was best, like helped mix paint better or help people in factories that mix paint. You're not like, I'm sure some company that does paint mixing has tons of SOPs and documentation on the right chemical paint mixtures to do that. That they're likely keeping internally as some kind of like company secret recipe or whatever. You know, I like it's for every single industry. Like people have standard operating procedures and they have data inside of their internal systems. And broadly, they're underutilized. So like that's what we look at. And like if anyone's out there and wants to partner on that, let me know.
Cool. You think the opportunities are still vast, that people have this reservoir of data, they have this industry expertise that could be applied to software in some capacity. They just don't know it? Or what do you think the barrier or basically why haven't people done it so far?
It's a class divide. It's like it's socioeconomic. It's a bunch of things. Like it's the fact that like the kids that go to Stanford and MIT are not the same kids that become electricians and like carpenters or work in the factories, and they just don't have friends that do those things. So they start focusing on problems that would admittedly larger TAMs. Like we want to do space stuff, or we want to like improve inferencing and quantum, or like things like this, you know. But they're not looking at like AI for cattle ranches because that's just like the overlap is very thin between your average software engineer and your average cattle rancher.
Is that a tribal thing?
I mean, I don't think that cattle ranchers and software engineers have that much in common to commonly be friends. Like
Yeah.
I think that's like so I don't think they hang out at the same bars that frequently, but I don't want to overgeneralize.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, that is like, I mean, potentially like an attribute of our culture that's less savory right now is everyone's in their corners. Well, I'm a cattle rancher guy. I don't mess with
Yeah.
AI. Like those two things somehow can't overlap. So if I'm thinking about like, man, I think I could bring some tools to this kind of business. Cattle ranching is a great one because, it's a legacy business with big checks, big
Mhm.
opportunities, and so far, technology really hasn't seeped in. Is there a way to kind of conquer some of these tribal divides that you've seen? If you are looking for like a paint mixing company or manufacturing firm.
Yeah, it's just be a normal person and don't think you're better than anyone and realize that they have skills in a different direction than you are and you're not better than them. And like you can totally just call people and say, "Hey, I'm this person. Like I'd love to like tour your factory and like talk to you." Like and like just do it in a way where you're not trying to sell something.
Yeah.
Like there's a way into all this stuff. It just takes persistence and like I like after I sold my last company InQute, like I would just go to friends who like maybe their family owned a ball bearing factory and they'd be like, "Oh, like this," and like it's kind of boring. I'm like, "No, I want to go to the ball bearing factory. Like, can I have a tour?" And I go tour a ball bearing factory, a 3D printing factory, or I just went to go see a bunch of things.
Yeah. See anybody
And
do
people can
stuff
do
at
that.
scale. Yeah. I totally agree. I live in Denver and just up the way in Golden is the
Yeah.
Coors manufacturing plant. And like watching somebody make that much beer,
Yeah.
and ship it is fascinating. It's amazing.
Yeah. And like you might have a more difficult time partnering with Coors on it, but like a small family owned business, like we're talking like not necessarily small, I say lower middle market, like $100 million a year kind of business.
Uh-huh.
Like it's still probably owned by like two brothers who built it like 30, 40 years ago. And like you could probably find a way in.
That's really interesting. This moment too, in particular, I know is a tough point for a lot of founders, which is post exit. Let's say you have life-changing type money and an exit. Well, you're left with kind of a dark night of the soul because what made you a successful founder is also going to drive you when you exit your company. So it's like, which project do I take on? What do I do? The some great advice I've heard is that you need to stop for a minute
Yeah.
at least. You have to take a break because otherwise you'll start like popping things off and like you're not really oriented for reality yet. So doing things with your hands, I've heard, is like really good for those moments. But I really like this recommendation, which is to go find the ball bearing manufacturer down the street that doesn't have hosted tours. It's not
Mhm.
Coors. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
not exiting through the gift shop, but like go see what they're doing as a way just maybe to like spark curiosity.
Yeah. Go talk to the dudes that manage the machines. Like honestly, like I remember the first factory tour I went on, they all wanted to like talk to like the salespeople and these kind of stuff. They're like, "Oh, here are all the business people." And I had way more fun, and the owner was really happy about this. That I spent most of my time there talking to the guys who like fix the machines and like set up the robotics and all this kind of stuff. Because that's where the value is. It's not in talking to a sales or marketing department. It's talking to the guy who makes $15 to $20 an hour, who like does the stuff.
Yeah.
And on the post-exited founder thing, yeah, it's like your ego it's rough. Like I'm in a group called PEF. It's really wonderful. I'm super thankful for them. It's a post-exited founder organization, and there's
Yeah.
about 1,500 exited tech CEOs in it. And I've gone on a lot of trips with them, and it's been really, really good to hang out with other people in a situation. So I wish I followed my fiance's advice and took a lot longer off.
Hmm.
But I think that there's a search for meaning and purpose that happens after that point. Um, and I don't know if I personally figured out what that purpose is yet. So the experimentation is more this is not, this is me trying to experiment and try a bunch of things. And I just happen to be building a bunch of companies.
Yeah. Amazing. That's what you
Yeah.
tell yourself. How
Yeah.
how much time did you take off?
A month and a half.
That's a long weekend, man. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
it was really boring. It was
Yeah.
profoundly boring, and I was kind of sad, to be honest.
Was it every day you're like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this. You only have so much willpower after a minute. You're like, you know what? Come on, let's just dive in. Let's go.
Yeah, I was just really, I think that it's an identity issue. The funny thing is, like, when you're building a company, your ego becomes so tied up with the company itself. And then you get people talk about, what is it called? Imposter syndrome or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, like, when you're first building a company and you raise all the venture capital so that you feel slightly like an imposter. And then you end up, like, becoming that person. And then when you sell it, you realize your ego is so tied up into being that person. You
Yeah.
have no clue who you are.
Yeah.
Really freaking weird. And then
Yeah.
you go like you're like, I'm just Josh. And then you have to accept that like what just being a human is, I suppose.
Yeah. No, it's very destabilizing though. I know that because in another lifetime I had a career as a musician.
Yeah.
And when I threw in the towel on that, it was very similar. It was like, well, I was always the songwriter guy. Like,
Hmm.
who am I now? Which is it's a tough place for a human to be. So but what I found is like helpful is to maybe tether you to things that aren't necessarily outcome based. Do you have anything like that in your life where you're like the woodworking guy or something like that?
Oh yeah. Like me and my friends play Dungeons and Dragons, and it's like my sanity is like every Saturday playing D&D is like
Nice.
the best thing in my entire life. Um, yeah, it's D&D and it's like listening to books.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
meaning and purpose. That's another great conversation. You said you're not completely like dead set on what that is yet. What's in the range? What are the meaning and purpose for your life? Just ask a
I
small
don't know.
question.
Like the overarching thing is like a reduction of human suffering. But figuring out how to get there is a challenging little pickle, right? So I wish I had the answer. I feel like every person I've ever met that has like stated that they have like come to a new level of enlightenment is actually the furthest person from that imaginable.
Yeah.
So like I'm not going to try to give advice on like how to like achieve your purpose because I'm not necessarily there. Um, I'm just experimenting. And like when it clicks, it clicks.
Well, it's interesting you say enlightenment because Buddhists will say that people love their suffering. They're addicted to it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So it's like if you're alleviating human suffering, it's almost like you're robbing them of one of their loves.
Possibly. I think that like there's different degrees of suffering,
Sure.
right? Like there's the suffering as in like you're toiling away and you're practicing something like that every single day, and that's what I enjoy. Like I
Yeah.
could relate that to more to like the movie Whiplash, right? Like that's maybe positive suffering. But then it's like I don't want people to suffer in the way that like Schindler's List that is suffering.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like so like like
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm talking about is more up on the suffering dial potentially.
Totally. Yeah. I agree. There's a few different dials on that
Yeah.
potentiometer.
Yeah.
Amazing. Cool. Let's kind of hang here too. You're in between things. You exit your company, you're getting advice from your fiance, you're taking some time off. Who else is kind of advising you? You also have this group. Did you join that group,
Yeah, I
post-exit
got invited
founders?
to it by an investor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find camaraderie, people going through the same things?
Yeah, it's a lot of them are a lot older than me. So
Hmm.
it's like I'm lucky to know a bunch of guys who like are, late 40s, early 50s, this kind of things. A lot of them had way more significant exits than me, like well-known companies that you know the name of.
Yeah.
Um and I went on a trip to one we went to a trip to Israel and did like a bunch of R&D stuff there, went to some quantum labs, and it was really interesting. Also, it was interesting just being in a country during a war where like, there was ballistic missiles and a high-end bomb shelter and we went clubbing afterwards. It was It's really, really interesting time to spend with like 20 other exited founders. Then I
Wow.
hung out with a lot of these guys in Miami just in December. We went hunting for pythons. I have a picture of that. I don't know. I can share with you.
Nice.
So yeah, in the Everglades, python hunting. And then, you know, just it's been it's been refreshing, but it's hard to explain why. I think they're emotionally at the same spot
Yeah.
where it's like, what do you do when you feel like you have nothing to prove? But then also maybe the thing you want to prove is to yourself. And what is that?
Yeah. You were in Israel for the conflict with Iran, or
No, when the ceasefire broke between them and Hamas in January of last year,
yeah,
we went during the ceasefire and then it broke, like my second day there.
it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, Israelis are tough, you know.
Yeah.
They have the shelters, I've done calls where during that time with Iran where they're like, if I have to get off real quick, I'm just gonna go over here for 20 minutes until the alarms go off, and then I'll be back. I'm just like, God dang.
Yeah, it was a crazy experience of my life. One, like beautiful spot, really interesting talking to a lot of people on the ground, like the difference between like what you see on TV and like I don't know, maybe it's a conversation I don't want to have right now here. But really, really, really interesting trip, really eye-opening.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you hear it your whole life that money doesn't buy happiness, but sometimes it actually does increase your suffering. I have always wanted to have like a ludicrous moment or like a
Yeah.
rapper moment where it's like, dude, I made it. I just want to like throw money in the air and get like diamonds in my teeth and just like enjoy it. Why can't we enjoy it?
Why is that a question to me? Why can't we enjoy it?
Yeah,
Um, I think it's probably a cultural thing that has more to do with where you actually just like where you find joy, right? Like I I don't know. I mean, it's something that you definitely could do. I know people have a lot of money.
hmm
And I would say that the things that they're looking for at that point are more familial connection, being there for their kids,
yeah,
like having really good friends, these kind of things. Um, like everyone I know who, when they were younger, talked about like wanting a Ferrari or wanting a Lamborghini or these kind of flashy things with money. It seems to be that their life looks like a heart rate monitor, where it's like, what I'm saying, it's up and down and up and down and up and down. It's really chaotic. And the people I meet that have done really, really well for themselves in business, I think that it's because they didn't get rich overnight, you know?
yeah,
And I think that they're looking to do something more generational and they probably have more purpose and thought behind it. I don't know. It's an interesting question. It's like this whole concept of like greed is good or something like that, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's up to the individual, but I broadly don't think that that would make you happy. Like I've been to enough clubs and had, done enough stuff where I don't think that that brings joy. Like
yeah,
I feel like it's like the thing that brings joy is like close, meaningful friends and like
yeah.
deep connection.
And maybe even deep work too. I,
Yeah.
I don't run in the ultra elite circles by any means. I've probably met maybe a half a dozen Billies,
Yeah.
but they're all still right in the driver's seat. They're like, they love this. They love the game for the game of it. And of course, the financial thing is a great plus. But once you've crossed that threshold, it's never enough. You know what I mean? If you're playing that game. But ultimately, maybe is there a place where that you can talk about like, no, it's going 0 to 1. I'm 0 to 1 guy. If that's
Yeah.
Josh, it's like, no, that's what I actually enjoy doing. That's why I like to spend my time there.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I was a little kid, I really wanted to be an architect. And I really liked the idea of like designing buildings and these kind of things. And I realized that buildings were really expensive. So then I got myself into software engineering eventually because I'm like, I may not be able to afford building a skyscraper at, 16 years old or ever. Like it's kind of expensive. So might as well design like small little products that people can enjoy and I can enjoy. And I think it has more to do with creative expression, to be completely honest,
Yeah,
or solving problems and these kind of things. Yeah, I mean, like I still have the deep desire to ring the bell on Wall Street. Like that's one of my biggest things that I haven't been able to do in my life. Like there's two main goals, which is like one, take a company formerly public on Wall Street, and the second one is to be the ambassador to some kind of country by the time I'm older. I
Cool.
think it'd be really fun. So those are the kind of the two overarching goals.
Yeah. Do you think there's going to be more IPOs this year?
Do I think there's going to be more IPOs this year? Than last year? Maybe. Maybe. I did a talk. So I do these talks, these idea dinners with like these macro cap funds, and like the way that we've described the market has been an anxious bull market, where it is a bull market, but like it's bulls in a china shop just wrecking everything. Where it's like it's not really. We'll have high profile ones. Like I believe Anthropic, SpaceX, um, maybe you see a Databricks or something like that. Um, maybe OpenAI goes. Um, what is it? Canva is looking at it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good ones. Probably more than last year, but I
Yeah.
think we'll have a flood of them, and we probably won't have them for a bit because I think these are like kind of the built up ones. And I'm trying to think of like what's behind these guys. Like Stripe's been waiting forever. But it's a lot more effective right now in the venture market just to be acquired. Because all of the money's consolidating around so few companies.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably more IPOs this year.
I would love to see Apple scoop up Anthropic or something like that. You
Oh, they
know,
won't. I mean, well, so like my argument against that is they signed the deal of like Google. Like I think have they already signed that or did that like
I
I
think
think
so. Yeah. I
yeah.
know it's I don't I too am like kind of wistful for IPOs and bringing
Mhm.
that era back, but I'd also like to see some mega acquisitions.
Well, yeah, I think that it's really difficult for like the startup founder to even go to IPO right now because they like one, the valuation IPO, like these companies are IPOing above $1 trillion,
Yeah.
right? Like that's insane.
It's
So,
insane.
the amount of private capital that's required to actually do that is pretty immense. And I think that like a lot of the capital in the future is probably going to be allocated more likely to infrastructure projects, where it's like energy build out, things like this, defense build out. Like you look at like defense budget going up by 50%. Like we're going to trim really hard into defense startups, intelligence startups, these kind of things. And then infrastructure for like more American-based manufacturing, probably more robotics companies, these kind of things.
Yeah.
Broadly, I think that like the average founder is under-equipped to work on those kind of projects.
Yeah.
So I think that this is going to go a bit of a different direction than we kind of expect. Where people kind of wrote up these, oh, like you can make a little AI company and it's going to go sky high. But realistically, I think that these companies are better off doing an acquisition at Series A than trying to pile on more capital and dilute themselves down.
Mm.
Um, because the level of competition that's required to actually like to win at that, I just don't think capital will want to go where that is. Like there's a whole restructure in venture capital and private equity right now to more cash flowing businesses. Um, I think the game is changing in a really, really, really big way. And
Yeah.
the companies that you're going to see in the near future, like AI companies, will be the new small business. They will not be the new stock
Mm.
outside of a few of them. Like if you want to think
Interesting.
about it this way, Anthropic, Amazon, or Anthropic, like OpenAI, and Google to some extent, like are effectively the Amazons and eBays and Shopify's for a new generation of small businesses and vertical AI businesses, be that an accounting firm or be that like, I don't know, like a marketing agency.
They're more infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
like when cloud came out, you know?
Yeah.
Like there was really like one or two big cloud there's a bunch of cloud providers, but realistically at this point what do we have? AWS, Microsoft, GCP, and Oracle,
Mm.
and just Azure and AWS alone is like the vast majority of the market.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. We'll see. I mean, I don't know, from anecdotally from my position, it feels like the economy's in a great position. It seems like everyone's very or not ambitious, but optimistic about, technology, particularly right now. I mean, obviously there's some like competitors in the space, but like it feels better. It feels different than it does a year or did a year ago.
Yeah, I think it's normalizing to a sense. It's hmm. I think as long as the like SEC continues to be the SEC and the Fed continues to be independent, then it'll be all good. Like
Yeah,
those are my biggest indicators. Like there's more political threat to the stability of the economy than the actual economy itself, if it makes any
totally.
sense.
Yeah.
So uh like the deal with like Netflix and Paramount, like
Hmm.
really interesting where like hmm,
Has that closed or they're still working through that?
they're still working through that.
Yeah.
I think that they noted that they would rather take the deal with Netflix, just on the grounds that they believe that it's a better partner. And I believe the Paramount offering was the largest leveraged buyout offer in human history. It was mostly like Gulf money piled up. So like the inevitable merged company would have like an obscene amount of debt. It was a really, really crazy idea. Um, but yeah, I don't think there is necessarily an AI bubble. I think we'll all catch up to it. And it really refers back to like when we overbuilt like fiber infra, we ended up using a lot of that fiber infra. Um, I think it'll cool down though. I think it's going to be less hot. I think
Yeah.
defense will be really, really hot. Space will be really, really hot. And AI will get less hot.
Yeah.
Because like when you look at early stage venture capital right now, I would say that like putting AI next to your company, unless you're doing something like really, really interesting with really unique data sets, then eh.
It's so ubiquitous that like at some point it's just like now with AI it's just going to wash off. It's you just assume that it's already built into everything. Kind of like
Yeah, it's a
what you were
feature.
saying. Yeah, it's infrastructure. You know,
Yeah.
it's like yeah, cool, man. We've met the time in the podcast where we do the quantum round. Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Before we do, actually, I really like kind of the tone of this conversation because we're kind of diving into a little bit more of the emotional side of what it means being a founder. That being said, that beautiful painting over your right shoulder there, what does that elicit in you?
In
How does
me,
how does that make you feel?
calming, I guess. I really like abstract art. I know this isn't necessarily abstract, but I think it's fairly calming to me. I like it for a lot of different reasons. My fiance bought it for me from an artist in South Florida, and I think it gives a lot of color to the space. And I think just generally blues are a relaxing thing, and red bring passion.
Yeah. It kind of looks like a meteor hitting the earth, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I can see that. It's I don't know.
Which might be telling if like maybe it is a meteor and you're like, yeah, it's very calming.
Yeah, it's like some kind of like it could be a supernova, it could be an explosion, it could be like I see it as very calming though, and I don't
Yeah.
know what it is, but whatever you see in it, it's meaningful to you, right?
Yeah, it's super cool. I love it. I've been
Thank you.
like vibing out on it the whole time. Okay, first question. Which founder stereotype do you secretly embody and wish you didn't?
Which founder stereotype do I secretly embody? Um, fuck. It hasn't been reflective in this conversation, but like the frickin' WeWork guy. I definitely not like in a literal sense, but I know I have the capacity to get people hyped on basically anything. And yeah, it's
That guy was charming though. He was like smoking
yeah.
joints in the office and like had aura, you know?
No, exactly. He's fantastic.
Nice. Okay, as a D&D guy, what'd you think about the series finale of Stranger Things?
I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. Like I felt better about it than I felt like for the ending of like The Sopranos or Lost, if that's a review.
Yeah.
I thought the last season of this was better than like how they ended Game of Thrones, but that's not like high credit, you know?
Right. Game of Thrones I'll give you, but The Sopranos was kind of like a pitch perfect ending. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, the way I'm trying to communicate this is I think it's a 7 is a strong 7, maybe a 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
What
I
do you
think that's
think?
fair. You know, the best part about the series finale is then I went back and started watching the season one with my kids,
Mhm.
and that is an absolutely bulletproof,
Oh
perfect
yeah.
show. I mean, series one is money. It's good, so good.
Yeah, it's like the first 2 or 3 seasons that were really good. It fell off hard. I mean, it's such a big lapse between this. I think the writers just wanted to move on to other stuff, like their actors go. This is the problem with working with kids as well, is like, who knows? I would say they phoned it in a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Well, and the drama in the first season is like really intense. You
Yeah.
know, like when Nona's husband is around and like it's like there's a lot of yelling and like you feel like the parents are always mad, you know? So it really
Yeah.
did feel like the 80s.
What was the craziest thing about it is like when the Demogorgons like got over that military base. Like I remember in the first season or second season, there's like the kid's mom is like fighting one of these things, something like that. And these guys are
Totally.
like shooting them and nothing's happening. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like
Yeah.
you're just changing the rules in your own show.
Yeah, I know. I
And
give
I
him a
also
little
think like,
leeway, but
yeah, like and for shows on TV right now, it's like, I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. Like,
yeah. Cool. Talk a lot about distribution. I like that. If founders are kind of like want to increase their own distribution, personal branding, let's call it, where would you invest time and money?
dude, I'm trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably why I'm here. So like the newsletters, podcasts, etc., Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. Um, the best people at doing distribution, and this is probably something that I want to, this is not probably, it's something I definitely want to improve about myself, are people who truly do not give a fuck from the standpoint they're like willing to do wild things, put their name out there and do things that are shocking, you know, to the
Yeah.
attention. Like the guys who run like sperm racing, incredible founders who are so getting ridiculous amounts of attention. So there's definitely like a formula here which requires you to shed any kind of like sensibility about judgment, and just really, really, really go for it. But it also depends on the kind of distribution you're trying to get. Like the
Yeah.
majority of people that like I want to be speaking to at this point in my life are mostly like family office and private equity people. And I don't really particularly care about like getting the general public hyped up on something. I'd rather just partner with an influencer for that.
Yeah.
So I like really small circles in really highly credible areas is what I do. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a PR firm. I've tried a bunch of things. So
So going depth opposed to breadth, at least for you personally.
yeah, but I mean, I think that I need to do the other one later. I think I'm kind of I'm pussyfooting around it. I think I'm waiting for just like the thing I really want to like yell at the top of the rooftops about. Like when Finder's ready, I'll probably go do that.
Yeah.
I kind of miss like standing on stage and like doing all the speaking stuff. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well, it's
suppose.
interesting. I mean, like thinking about distribution just the last couple of weeks, the guy that exposed all the like the Somali daycare
Yeah.
center scandal, like that his video got like 500 million views and he was like a prank guy,
Yeah, exactly.
you
So
know?
I mean, it's just like whoever picks up. But the thing is, like his stuff got amplified by other distribution networks. So it's like it's you got to be tied into the chain of distribution where you do something, but really it's you know someone with a bigger microphone and they know someone with a bigger microphone and it gets microphoned all the way up. You know.
Yeah, 100%. 0 to 1. So your only goal is to make $1 million ARR as fast as possible. What product would you build or what category of products would it be?
Like $1 million ARR as fast as possible.
Yeah.
You'd make a hyper specific product for an enterprise and sell one license.
So one license,
Yeah.
83,000 monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would be an example of that? Or who
Oh,
did that well?
my lawyer gave me a great example of this actually, and I wish I'd
Really?
made a product like this. He had a friend at MIT that figured out that the routing system for the internet was like not encoding data as fast as it could. It was like losing bytes, something like that. And so he created like a small little package exe that he sold to the telecoms, and this is like a few line of code, like at best. Um, and yeah, that like licensing deal to the telecoms to distribute over like every router in the country and made like cents on overall data distributed.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on like 4 lines of code packaged up in exe for a hyper specific use case.
I love it. You know, a lot of what you're talking about is bringing up a lot of like family stuff for me. There's a legend I have in my family. He's an
Uh,
uncle. I think he's like like a cousin's uncle or something. He's like my uncle, but not really that kind of guy.
uh-huh.
But he redesigned the clips that 7-Eleven uses in their coolers and just sold 7-Eleven the clips and got FU money and that was it. You
Yeah.
know, retired to yacht life. And it was like literally he just spent 10 years working in 7-Eleven. It was like, I can make this better. Did, boom. That was it.
Yeah, what I've learned about it is, and it's one other thing I'm trying to work on is like I'm too transparent with like clients from standpoint. Like I always want to be like as honest, truthful, like as humanly possible. But then you ended up giving away the secret sauce. And
Yeah.
it's actually like you can like you because you're charging based on value for those like 4 lines of code that you're packaging up, is that you need to hold like I need to hold my poker hand a little bit tighter, honestly.
Mhm.
And I think that's where the value, like that's where the arbitrage effectively is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, what LLMs are you using and how do you use them?
I use Manus mostly for research. Um, and then I just use OpenAI's business mode that's tied into all the rest of my stuff.
Yeah.
For like actual products. Some are on Llama just because of like they can't be on an actual LLM, so it has to be like an offline LLM that's not recording data. And then generally, like if it's an API usage, it should be Claude. But so personal use, I use OpenAI and then Manus for research. Um, Professional like work for a company, inside of a product, Claude. Professional work inside of a company that needs to be hyper secure and offline, Llama.
Yeah. Nice. Manus. I haven't heard it pronounced like that, but I'm going to start pronouncing it like that. That
How do
was a
you say
big,
it?
that Manus?
Manus? Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
I
only
don't
read
know.
it.
Whatever Meta just bought. I've
Yeah,
used you for like
totally.
a year and a half. Yeah.
That was a big acquisition, and I think super good for Manus,
Yeah.
largely because everyone was afraid of like the Chinese robots stealing your personal information, like they don't have it already, but now it's like all buttoned up in Singapore, so
Yeah.
it's cool.
Great company. Really, really, really good tool. Like
Great
unbelievably
product. Yeah, I
fantastic.
agree. Yeah,
Like the fact that the other tools don't have computer use that is that elegant actually annoys me.
yeah, I agree, man. The output is just gorgeous. I really like it too. You mentioned listening to a lot of audiobooks. Like, what are some of your favorites?
My favorites. Oh God, they're so boring. Where's my phone to tell you what I've read this year?
They're
This is
boring. You like boring books?
yeah. Primarily, like I read like or listened to rather like a history of Richard Feynman's like entire life and like all of his studies on physics. I did one that was based on like Maslow. He's like a hierarchy of needs. I
Sure.
realized I didn't really know much about him and like his actual research. So like there's a whole book on like everything Maslow did in his life, and all of his psychological research. There's like finance books in there.
Nice.
Um,
You
yeah,
like
it's
biographies though
like
too?
what?
You like biographies?
I really don't read a lot of biographies. Like,
Yeah.
truly, I don't. Like, I'll explain the kind of person I am really simple. Like, when I was a little kid and I went to the book fair, I'd buy almanacs,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm like an 8-year-old who would watch C-SPAN. Like, I'm weird. Like, so, like, I like dense information really is my jam. And, it, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's
I
great.
actually I read a really good one, or some, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was a study of a bunch of really like CEOs of incredible what we call now boring businesses that
Yeah.
made giant companies and like mostly like between the 60s and the 80s. Unbelievably fascinating. Like really enjoyed it because I was like working on spin out and I was thinking about like, oh, this strategy really isn't being done a lot right now. So I had to look back at historically and like when were people doing this? Because like if everyone's doing roll-ups right now for private equity, there
Yeah.
has to be a thing where we untangle the roll-ups.
Mm.
And then I realized this is a secular thing in the economy between roll-ups and like, unrolling the companies up.
Hmm.
And I ended up doing like this immense amount of research, and that was fascinating. Just to see how conglomerates are made and how conglomerates fall apart. Like even like the reconciliation that like Microsoft is basically doing the same thing Johnson and Johnson did at this
Hmm.
point. It's like not vastly a different business. We think of it as a technology company, but it's just a conglomerate at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, it is cyclical, and you see it like politically, right? The
Yeah.
how the tides you get like now we're starting to see this big wave of socialism until that gets unpopular, and then like the big free market capitalist comes back up, and
Yeah.
so yeah, there is like kind of a parabola between 1982 and right now in all kinds of different domains. You know,
Well, it's like you can conceptualize time. It's like I've seen about this recently. It's like it's a circle moving like this, but the circle is also moving forward, almost like the way that you look at like a planet orbit. You know what
yeah.
I'm trying to say? It's spinning while moving forward. So it's like time is cyclical while moving through a longer cyclical timeline, that repeats at different like larger intervals. Um, and I know like Ray Dalio has a lot to say on this, and like Peter Zeihan has a lot to say on this from like a geopolitical angle. But it is interesting to come to the complete end of an era. And I do see this as the end of an era.
Yeah,
Like,
it feels that way.
yeah. And we'll have to see what like the next era necessarily is. Like, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And like, reading boring books, I also, I like history. I
Mm.
love business entertainment or infotainment, this kind of stuff. And I think largely it's around this reason because we're just, as humans, so stupid that like, when you read that material, you're like, oh my God, they were going through the exact same things we were. We're just repeating these cycles over and over again, basically with the breadth being like a human life. So it's like every 40 years, there's like popular trends that just emerge and reemerge, and you have to re-deal with them and just keep going through it. So I think it's interesting. What do you think about like what was the movie or I'm sorry, the TV show on HBO about that family? Um, they're like they own it's basically Rupert Murdoch's whole
Yeah,
family
yeah. Succession.
succession. Yeah. So
Yeah.
business entertainment. Do you think you bullish on that in 2026?
For shows.
Yeah, just for
I
like
hope there's
entertainment.
more. Like I love Silicon Valley. I think I put Veep into that category as well. I
Yeah.
think Veep is fantastic. Where it's just like these really the jobs that most people won't have and like putting out like how absurd it actually is. So yeah, like Succession is great, Veep is great, Silicon Valley is great. I think we could do less with like founder documentaries. I think it's getting a little crazy. Like I think it's just like advertising in movie form. Like Ford and Ferrari was good. I don't think we need like a Nike movie. I don't know. It is what it is. But yeah, Succession was a good show.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. Josh, this has been so fun, man. I love bouncing around. I appreciate you opening up a little bit about maybe some of the more tender spots about work in general, but I feel like I got so much out of this. I'm going to be able to pull a bunch of really cool frameworks. I love your checklist for validation. It's been incredible talking to you. I also want to give a shout out to an organization that I know is important to you, which is Doctors Without Borders. And what a great organization. Any stories or favorite things about that group?
No, also I'll tell you why I appreciate them. It actually came from a book I read when I was really young. It's called A Long Way Gone, and it's about a child soldier in Sierra Leone. And yeah, like I just after I read that as a kid, I started like learning a lot about like the UN camps and how people would like go out there and actually help these people post wars. And I just think it's a really righteous thing to do, like to go to school for so long for a profession that's very technical and then spend your life giving back. So I think they're really incredible people and they deserve support.
Agreed. Think they're awesome. Shout out to them. Doctors Without Borders, they're everywhere. You guys can just Google that if you don't know about them already and learn more. Josh, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, Ryan. Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Moburst, the AI-first growth engine trusted by iconic startups like Calm, Robinhood, Reddit, Uber, and Google. Moburst is a digital full-service mobile-first marketing agency that helps companies to scale and become category leaders. Whether you're finding product market fit or ready to accelerate growth, Moburst delivers creative, data-driven solutions that help with scale and efficiency and impact. At Moburst, we're not just guessing what works, we're predicting it. As an AI-first agency, Moburst uses cutting-edge tools to analyze user behavior, adapt creative in real time, and uncover hidden growth opportunities. The result, marketing that's faster, smarter, and built to convert. From early-stage startups to global brands, we've helped hundreds of companies overcome complex challenges, unlock new audiences, and optimize every metric that matters. At Moburst, we believe that creative thinking, advanced technology, and data are the core drivers of success at scale. If you're serious about scaling your business with precision and purpose, it's time to talk to Moburst. Visit moburst.com and let's build something category-defining together. Hey founders, let me ask you this. Are you building with AI or getting left behind by it? If you're serious about scaling smarter, faster, and bolder, you need to check out aiforfounders.co. It's your go-to resource for cutting through the noise and actually using AI to grow your startup. Each week, AI for Founders drops a sharp, no-fluff newsletter, dives deep with expert guests on the podcast, and hosts monthly workshops where you can get your hands dirty with the real tools and strategies. Whether you're pre-seed or Series B and beyond, Launching something new or just staying sharp, AI for Founders gives you the edge you need to win in 2025 and beyond. Hit aiforfounders.co to subscribe to the newsletter, tune into the podcast, and grab your spot in the next workshop. And it's all free. Build smarter, move faster, think bolder with AI for Founders. Now back to the show.